We're thundering towards the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship, our 4th round of 9 for 2025. This weekend, MotoAmerica Superbike Speed Fest at Monterey, presented by Law Tigers at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca in Monterey, California, for Mission King of the Baggers, race number 1. Welcome, everyone, to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time national champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, last time this class raced in Wisconsin, things got really chippy.
Yeah, I was hoping Laguna Seca was going to be the following weekend, Greg, because the rivalry between Harley and Indian is real.
It certainly is, but there was a bit of news after the race weekend, and the news was that factory Harley rider Bradley Smith was disqualified. The reason for that, basically his Harley Davidson was found to be over the 7,000 RPM limit. We were told by MotoAmerica that the problem was resolved immediately by Harley Davidson, and we're all back on a level playing field, so that is all behind us. But what is not behind us is this rivalry between Indian and Harley Davidson, and it heated up in Wisconsin.
We're like a crew. I don't know if there's like some sort of name we could come up with, but I'm so happy to be up here. James, Bradley, this whole team. Let's go, Harley.
The door is open. Oh, and down goes Smith.
Hey, it's not about the size of the dog, is it? It's the fight in the dog.
Drive straight through your this morning. You mother. There's a lot more black shirts here than maroon.
I was looking for every excuse to fire up today. Yeah, when you get out there and the flag drops, it's about racing. I wasn't riding hard. It's certain parts of the track I was sort of just having a cup of tea.
And it's been about 3 weeks, but I'll tell you what, none of that has calmed down at all. Jason, here's WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Take us through it.
A world famous track here, Greg, down into fast turn, up over the fast turn 1 into turn 2, hard braking there. The thing is, Greg, you make your way up to that corkscrew, turn 7, 8, world famous, all the way down through Rainy Corner, turn 9. If you want to take a shot at somebody, it's got to happen in turn 11. It's a long run back to the finish line.
All right, so now we are looking at race coming up in a minute. But here's the Instant 360 track lap, and this is Kyle Wyman getting around WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Stay with us.
Welcome back to MotoAmerica Live Plus. Mission King of the Baggers Race 1 is just moments away as we hear the engines even beginning with the baggers on the grid. We were just hearing a bit there about Bradley Smith, who at the last King of the Baggers race at Road America did have that crash and then an incident with the bike being over 7,000 RPM. Bradley Smith, he's had a bit of an up and down season so far. Not quite the results we've expected to see from him. What do you think he needs to do to get right? Is it just a learning game?
I think just get a good start right away is going to be important for Bradley. He's definitely at Road America. That race 2 was leading out of the last corner to the run to the stripe. It's kind of the same thing I said with James Rispoli. He's down there in 7th, but when you look at the overall lap time, he's just just a couple tenths that he needs could move him up a lot of spots. And for Bradley, it's new to him. A lot of this bike's new, and you know, he's been to this track. There's a lot of new stuff, and he's been able to pick it up. And using that experience, that Harley team's got 3 riders, and that has to be a big help.
Indeed. Well, we can see the riders going out there on their early sighting lap, and then when they will come round to the start, to the grid for that race, King of the Baggers Race 1. It is a race where Kyle Wyman has that big lead at the top of the standings, but despite Troy Herfuss being on that 2nd row, he definitely has that pedigree. Laguna Seca, as mentioned earlier, it hasn't been the best of tracks for him so far, but he's still fairly new to MotoAmerica, learning every step of the way. So in just a few moments, we're going to hand you back down to Jason Pridmore and Greg White for the start of Mission King of the Baggers Race 1.
Mission King of the Baggers coverage is brought to you by Mission Foods, the world's leading brand for tortillas and wraps. Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. Drag Specialties, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket parts and accessories for Harley-Davidson, Indian, and custom V-twin motorcycles. And by NXT Bets. Play MotoAmerica for cash. Multiple race classes live on top sports books and DFS platforms all season long.
Our starting grid for Mission King of the Baggers, race number 1 here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, as Kyle Wyman at a 127.524 on pole, new track record.
Gillum and O'Hara will share the front row with Kyle. Baz Landers and Herfoss, And then we've got Bradley Smith, Cam Peterson, James Rispoli, Corey West, and Max Flinders. We're missing Jake Lewis. Wishing him a very, very speedy recovery for Jake Lewis after his accident yesterday. Whoa, what happened there? That's Rocco. That is really strange. So let's hope that he didn't bend a bar or do something like that. I'm just trying to figure out. Whoa, that is really strange, Greg. Any idea?
It was like it lunged forward for some reason.
He's got it back up and okay, so that's all right. That was a strange one.
All right, so we'll have to shake that one off. We have 9 laps scheduled in Mission King of the Baggers race number 1, and it looks like we're ready to get after it. Look at the 33, left part of your screen. See what kind of launch Kyle Wyman gets. After breaking the track record on pole position, he's been fast all weekend. Wheel in the air for Wyman when this race started. And on the way, he goes down the hill to turn number 2. He'll hit the first apex of that, drift a little wide as he goes down the hill, and he's already on the rear brake, sending it sideways. But a good start as well from the 69 of Hayden Gillum.
Yeah, Tyler O'Hara had a problem, Greg, right off the bat. There he is, the 29. It has been a really good weekend for this guy, too. O'Hara's been riding very strong. This is such a bummer to see for him. So I'm not exactly sure what happened. Get back to that race at the front, though. Like you're saying, it is going to be the 2 Harley-Davidsons of Kyle Wyman and the Vance and Hines Harley-Davidson of Hayden Gillum. So we saw Hayden in the last lap of qualifying this morning have a small problem. He wasn't able to make the King of the Baggers challenge race earlier, but he's had some incredible speed, breaking the lap record early yesterday morning and showing some real pace.
There goes the Revzilla Motul Vance and Hines Harley-Davidson rider. Side by side, he goes to the factory Harley-Davidson. Into the corkscrew goes Hayden Gillum. So the rider from Owensboro, Kentucky, makes the pass for the lead. And your former national champ takes over the spot. Now Kyle Wyman on that Harley-Davidson Dynojet Factory Racing Road Glide is going to see what Hayden has. All the while, the Indians starting to pick up pace.
Loris Baz was going really quick this morning. He was on a fast lap in qualifying and tipped off in the corkscrew. And of course, Troy Herfoss, who's always going to be there. You're never going to discount Troy no matter how many seconds, 1.2 seconds I think he was off pole. He always figures it out, always finds a way, as we saw at MotoAmerica.
Let's go down to the third member of our broadcast team, Jamie Howe.
Great to see Hayden Gillum able to get back up to speed. You mentioned that problem that he had at the end of qualifying. Actually blew the transmission on the last lap, but it showed so much speed through the course of the practice session as well as the qualifying sessions. I talked to him after the sighting lap, and he said the team thrashed back in the paddock area to get that bike put together. Out there on the grid for the race, he said everything felt great. Obviously, being able to take the lead, you can see that he's got a strong Harley-Davidson underneath him, and the thing that these riders are going to have to keep in mind is the being patient with the track temperature. Kyle Wyman, our pole sitter, he told me these are the warmest conditions that we've had all weekend. He felt it out there on the sighting lap. It was greasy.
All right, so Kyle Wyman is fanning out, and it looks like we've got some problems across the board. One of those motorcycles is smoking.
Hayden Gillum's smoking. Kyle doesn't want any part of it. The Indians go by him. So the race direction will be taking a close look at this. Yeah, he's got a problem.
He's got oil on the tire.
So this is, I don't want to see this. You can see it on the tire, Greg. You can actually see it right there. So Hayden's got to get off the line and get that bike slowed down. There definitely looked like there was some fluid that it was put down. So we have to keep an eye on that. You can see the whole left side of the tire. Yeah, good for race direction on this one because there's definitely oil there.
Good job by Kyle Wyman, too, to understand what was going on, getting out of the way of any of that fluid that was spraying onto his motorcycle. And an outstanding call by race direction to bring out the red flag, because the one thing we do know, if that fluid's on his rear tire, there's a chance there's some on the racetrack.
In a situation like that, it's the worst part of our job because I know it can happen when the thing. I saw it puff smoke. You did too out of turn 3.
Right out of turn 3.
And then you can see Kyle here, and you're going to see Baz do the same. Both these guys are seasoned riders. They're both thinking to themselves, okay, look, there's probably some fluids. And also, Greg, they're probably getting a mist on their visors as well. So what we can't see from up here, they're probably getting in. It's a very, very frustrated Hayden Gillum at the moment.
Without question, because he knows what kind of pace that he had. And that's just part of the racing, you know. This is a very emotional sport, and Hayden Gillum carries a lot of it as well.
And keep in mind, too, the report that Jamie did with the transmission, they just put that bike back together probably, or, they got it back together. But the first time on the track, he didn't get any real laps. So there's the problem right there. Too bad. See all the oil on the left side of the tire? I could see that when he was coming out of the corkscrew.
So the red flag out, and MotoAmerica's race control, they're going to send their folks out, and they're going to have a good look at the track to make sure that the surface If it's not clean, they're going to be cleaning it up. We'll step away. When we come back to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, we'll have some updates on the red flag, race number 1 for Mission King of the Baggers.
We are under red flag conditions here at Laguna Seca in race 1 of Mission King of the Baggers. I'm Joanne here with Roger Hayden for MotoAmerica Live. Plus, Hayden Gillim there not looking happy at all because he got off to a flying start and possibly the issues from his transmission, but we certainly saw some oil on the left side of the tire. Roger, what did you make of what we witnessed?
Yeah, you can just see how disappointed Hayden is as well. He has pace to win that race today, and he got himself right where he wants to be in the lead and kind of setting the pace. And it's just, as a rider, it's really difficult to get put out of these races whenever it's not your fault. But, you know, those things happen in racing, but you can just see they've had a little bit of a rough year this year. It hasn't got the results on the bagger that they would have liked, and they came here and they were in a position to get those results they wanted, and it just didn't work out. This also, though, gives Tyler O'Hara. He had a problem off the start with the restart. This can seem right there pushing his bike, try to get his bike back to the pits, get to the crew, and see if they can't fix it.
So it really depends what was going on there with Tyler O'Hara's bike. It does seem that Hayden Gillim won't be a part of this restart, or it's very unlikely at least. Tyler O'Hara, though, any idea what was going on with him, and what do you think the chances are of him being on the starting grid for this restart?
Didn't see what it was. It was just right off the start. You seen him, he had his hand up, and it looks like he's coasted down to maybe turn 2 possibly. So he's got a ways to get his bike back to the pits, and you can see how hard he's trying. You see Rispoli there had a good start and kind of get to watch it all unfold in front of him.
Okay, well, Kyle Wyman perhaps will have something to learn from the fact that he maybe didn't get quite the start that he had hoped for. Hayden Gillim won't be in his way this time. It's unlikely, it seems. We'll head back down to Jason and Greg White.
I think it's awesome that the Talent Cup's here. It's something vital for the U.S.
Take me by my outstretched hand, lead me to cold black water. The fires that I've started are growing bright and hotter.
Super important for the MotoGP, for the World Championship, to invest young generations. So yeah, let's see if in the future we can have good superstars from the USA.
The inaugural win of the Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul.
He's not going tight like I told him to. He's going too wide.
This young man comes to the stripe and will take the win. Let's go!
Yeah, Generation Speed, MotoAmerica Talent Cup, new for this season. Available on Motorsport 1, YouTube, and MotoAmerica Live Plus. You definitely want to check it out. First couple episodes are out, and more will be rolling out as Talent Cup continues to race up the season. MotoAmerica. Next stop is actually going to be Mid-Ohio for them. Let's take a look at a replay coming down the hill. Here's Hayden Gillim. Jay, take a look at the rear tire. Is that him on the gas spinning or on the rear brake?
It's a little bit of both. It's not the rear brake. It's going to be oil on the tire, so that's what made him pull off. He felt the thing spinning up, and he wasn't at any lean. So it's going to be a little bit of both. The oil's on the tire. He's giving it a lot of throttle coming down towards Rainy Corner, and he knew right off the bat. That's why he didn't even attempt to try to tip the thing in.
Yeah, that was a big heads-up play from Hayden Gillim on that one. We know he's got a lot of frustration today across the board. Wasn't an outstanding day for him. Good news is for this rider from Owensboro, Kentucky, that tomorrow there's a lot of racing in his future.
Yeah, new day tomorrow for him, and just frustrating. And you know, all of us, everybody's been there. And it's just the starting second, making the move that he made early. You know, trying to get a race win, get a little momentum going. You know, as a rider, that's what you're here to do. You're here to try to win races, and yeah, it's just a bummer for Hayden.
But let's look at it in a different perspective. Thank goodness nothing happened to Hayden Gillim.
100%.
I mean, the skill and the wherewithal of him to understand what was going on and pull off the racetrack, this definitely could have had that motorcycle on the ground.
It's easy for us here to say thank goodness for that, and he'll look at that later and say thank goodness for that. But right now, it's just the frustration of not finishing, I think, is going to be. And how about Tyler O'Hara? He got going again, and then the bike stopped at the base of turn 6. And last time we had on our cameras, our ISO cameras, he was trying to push the bike up the hill. And if you've ever been up that hill before, you probably don't want to try to push 600 plus pounds. Anyways, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
You know, 620 pounds is the minimum limit here in Mission King of the Baggers. Let's get to Jamie, who's with Kyle Wyman.
And when I climbed over the wall to talk to Kyle, he was watching the replay of the start of the race on your cell phone, but you had the front row seat to what happened in front of you with Hayden Gillim. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, I saw really a lot of fluid all at once. You know, it kind of came on suddenly, and, you know, when you see it kind of like that, you know it's going to get worse pretty quick as well. So, you know, I followed him for about half a lap, and I didn't see anything, and then all of a sudden coming out of turn 4, it was like it was there. So I'm sure nobody behind me could see that, but, you know, I knew how that was going to end, so I just got the hell out of there.
You led the field from the pole position, dominating performance for you through qualifying. I know you won't admit to that, but you easily let Hayden get around you. You said there's a lot of points on the line here. What thought do you give to doing the same thing when we get back to racing?
I mean, I made a little mistake out of turn 6. That's on me. I definitely am trying to be patient in these conditions. It's pretty hot and definitely feels a little bit greasy out there. So, you know, the position I'm in, we keep talking about it, but, you know, I just want to be, you know, be able to put together 9 solid laps. And, you know, if it's enough to win today, that's great.
Staying calm, staying calculated. Kyle Wyman continuing to lead the championship point standings.
Yeah, he certainly does. In that position he's in, he's talking about. He's got 56 points over Troy Herfoss this early in the season. Loris Baz is there, JP, only 3 points behind Herfoss as well. So, you know, that entire S&S Indian motorcycle team is right there. And so Kyle understands he doesn't want to make a big mistake. He doesn't want to give 25 points back to any one of those riders.
Yeah, because they're world-class guys. I mean, they're itching for that opportunity to get a big chunk of points. And I think for Kyle, he's good bike, good team, as is the Indian guys as well. And the fact that Baz is only 3 points behind, you know, Troy in the championship is something to be said there too, because Baz has really found his, you know, his pace this year. Greg, he won a race. I think it was in Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, and that came early, and he's shown some really good pace in the dry. As you see our crew here at MotoAmerica working hard. That's going up the hill out of turn 6, running up that hill. So, yeah, the oil was spread around just a little bit, so it's probably going to be a little bit of a delay. As we look at some race 1 highlights, as you can see here, I'm going to have to talk to Rocco about that one and figure what that was about. It's a good start for Kyle Wyman. Really good start from him. You see Tyler O'Hara there on the left-hand side of your screen with his arm up. But Kyle got away early. You heard him say he made a small mistake coming out of turn 6, and Hayden Gillim was able to just roll around the outside of him here and make that pass coming up into the corkscrew. And Kyle wasn't really in a place to really put up a big fight there. The 2 Indian Challenger guys right behind, though, you see Baz and Herfoss were right on the back of the 2 Harleys in the front. This is when Kyle decided, okay, I've had enough. Baz was the same. I'm sure Troy is looking at this situation too. And for Hayden, he went down into Rainey. I'm just glad, Greg, that it happened when it did, and he didn't tip it in anymore, like you said. And that was the end of it. So now we're just here cleaning up some racetrack.
And obviously frustrated because he had some pace. I mean, a 1:30.087 from a dead stop is incredibly fast. I mean, you're talking about just 2.5 seconds off of the track record pole time set by Kyle Wyman was Hayden Gillim. So
they're looking at something here on Troy's bike. You can see there.
Let's check in with Jamie, who's with Troy.
Yes, this red flag period is certainly beneficial for Troy Herfoss. You see the work being done aboard that Indian motorcycle. You burnt the clutch out. We saw that weird issue with Rocco Landers. Take us through that next chain of events.
Yeah, I mean, poor old Rocco. I don't know. I think he must have touched his gear lever as he was sort of adjusting, and so he's taken off and crashed right on my grid spot. And I was just getting ready to go to neutral, and obviously these big bikes, you want to be rolling to get it into gear, and I stopped right at my grid spot because I had to, and then I couldn't get the bike into neutral, and I had to sit there with the clutch in for however long, 45 seconds to a minute, and when I actually let the clutch out, I realised that I was doing a burnout, and my clutch was gone, and it just sort of done a big skid, and I seen the replay. I wish there was smoke, so it looked cool, but yeah. I don't know how long we would have lasted there because the clutch was really in trouble. So my guys are getting after it now, and I've got full faith they'll get the bike back together, and let's have another go. How's bagger racing for us? Like Rocco falling over, then mechanical for Hayden. There's just stuff going everywhere, and we had a little chat off camera about how my weekend's going, and like I don't feel like it's going too bad. Obviously, we're a bit behind where we usually are, but we're sneaking up on it a bit. And yeah, you've got to keep showing up in this game because this class is crazy. Yeah, it feels like we just done a full race because things are just happening everywhere. But anyway, I hope everyone's enjoying it home.
It certainly is always entertaining. You certainly cannot predict any of them here in Mission King of the Baggers, Greg.
No, and listen, that goes back to kind of what Kyle said. Like, even with a 56-point lead right now, Kyle's like, look, I can't afford to make a mistake because even in this class, anything can happen.
Anything can happen in this class. And, you know, for Troy, let's say that he goes on and has a big winning streak now. He's going to look back at this Laguna round and think, you know, I got a big break there. He got a break. They're able to replace the clutch now. He's going to be able to go out and fight with the boys, and he might not have been able to do that. So with racing always comes a little bit of luck, but you couldn't really sum it up any better than he did. There's just action between O'Hara and Gillum and all those different things that were happening, and Rocco on the line. Crazy stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the action and adventure of Mission King of the Baggers. I can see the promos running now. Well, our crew is still working to get the track, WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, into top-notch shape. Before we get racing going, we'll step away. Don't go anywhere because Mission King of the Baggers is on the horizon.
Welcome back to Mission King of the Baggers, and we are still under that red race flag as they clean up the oil spill from the track. It was interesting there to hear from Carl Wyman, who didn't get off to the best start. Obviously, this restart will give him the chance to think about correcting that, but the confidence and the experience he has from racing, despite not being super close to Hayden, he chose to hold back. He chose to stay out of the way of what he saw was going to unfold behind Hayden's bike. And that just speaks to the experience of Kyle, despite the fact that obviously he wants to win this race really badly.
Yeah, and it's just being heads up, and he's seen it coming. This is a long oil spill. We seen Kyle come out of turn 5, and that's where we noticed it on camera. So it had to happen a little bit before that, I'm assuming, and he made it all the way down the rainy curve. So these track marshals are going to have a little bit of work on their hands, but they're the best in the business of getting these tracks cleaned up, and they'll make sure it's safe. But Kyle just heads up. He's aware of his surroundings. He sees a little bit of fluid leaking. He knows what that can do, and just risk to, just hang back and wait for the red flag to come out.
Indeed. It was nice to see Troy Herfoss looking happy there, saying that he feels like the weekend is not going too badly and they are making strides in catching up. 6th position on the grid, but when that race came to that red flag, he had already worked his way up to 4th. So it seems like he's growing in confidence a little bit, and Troy with that big smile on his face. Do you expect to see Troy do anything differently as we come back to finish up and restart this race?
Well, he talked about how this red flag worked in his favor because he fried a clutch off the start. So red flag gives his team the opportunity to get in there and change that clutch so he can get back in that race and not have any problems. And that's going to be the big thing, and he's going to have to try to think about what he did. And I think the thing with Rocco there off the start, he said he held in the clutch for a very long time, and that was the reason why he fried the clutch off the start. So this kind of worked in his favor. And then his teammate, Tyler O'Hara, also, this red flag comes into his hand there with having his issue. Now he can get back to the pits and see if his crew can get that Indian back going.
Indeed. Well, we can see the crews there working so hard, the MotoAmerica crew, to try to get this track cleaned up and ready to restart that Mission King of the Baggers Race 1. This was quite a big oil spill, wasn't it? Going around a couple of the turns. Talk us through the process of what happens here, Roger.
Well, now the track marshals will get out there and they put the powder down that soaks up the fluid, and then they come in and they try to blow that out, and they'll just keep going over and over it until they get all the stuff off. It is a little bit slick even when they first go back out because you kind of got to run it off. So you'll see guys try to avoid it in some corners, the little white line there. But the thing is just putting all the oil dry down, scrubbing it in, making sure it soaks up all the oil. And, MotoAmerica will send track marshals out there to make sure every inch of this track is ready to go, make sure there's no oil. And they are the best in the business. Every cleanup we've ever had has been a good one.
Indeed, and Carl Wyman speaking earlier about the warm conditions. It has gotten warmer and warmer throughout the days here at Laguna Seca. He spoke about the track feeling greasy already, even before that oil spill. So the warm conditions, the greasy track, we saw that in the Superbike race earlier where we had some lone crashes, which probably speaks to the conditions under the heat. But we will be back with you and hopefully very close to getting that race restarted.
Welcome back to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca here in Monterey as the crew continues to work on oil that was dropped on the racetrack, and you can see kind of the breadth of, that's the top of the corkscrew and on down the hill, and our crew is getting after it. But let's get down to Jamie Howe, who has, as always, someone very special.
Hogs Spoli, as he was called earlier today after winning the Mission Foods Challenge race, that 3-lap shootout, $5,000. For James, for you earlier today, you know, you were talking about the shocks, and you went out there for the race and weren't happy with the setup. What adjustments are being made now underneath this red flag?
Yeah, we kind of went out with a little bit of a setup. It's no shame we've been off the pace a little bit here, you know, and we tried to throw a little bit of a project at it. Quite didn't really like it, so just going back to home, you know, and trying to get back in the fight here in this battle here and try to help my teammate out. And yeah, we'll see if it makes a difference. You know, it looks like we're going to have a lot of oil dry to get around, and you know, it might be a little bit slower race, but we'll see, and we'll just try to put this factory Harley-Davidson as high as we can today.
Need to correct myself. You won the Mission Super Hooligans race earlier. That's where the Hogs fully came from. But nonetheless, a lot of track time for you this weekend, multiple categories. Going from session to session, this being the warmest one so far of the weekend, what are you able to take from bike to bike?
Yeah, you know, the good thing is I get a little bit extra track time. You know, everything's been so easy on the hooligan bike. It's kind of, it's weird, like humbling, coming back to the bagger and struggling a little bit. So, you know, you just got to take your hat on the hooligan bike and then put your hat on the bagger. But, you know, we're here to fight, and we're going to try to get gritty here for the last 7 laps.
Getting gritty. I like it, Greg.
Oh, yeah. Hogs Spoli with the words. That often happens, JP.
Oh, yeah. It's been fun watching over the years, for sure.
You know, it's really been fun watching, actually, a bunch of riders here in MotoAmerica competition race in multiple classes as well. Yeah. As we know, back in your day, back in the 1920s when you raced, that there were a lot of racers that were like Superbike and Supersport racers. And, Jay, you did it yourself for a number of years. Do you find a benefit of going from a larger bike to a smaller bike, or a smaller bike to a larger bike in general if you're racing two machines?
It's funny because this came up today, and you know, when we were doing it, it was super bikes and 600s basically, and I was talking to somebody about how hard it must be going from like a 600 to a bagger, because they're so different, and the one weight is so much heavier than the other. That wasn't that big of a difference when I was younger, and everybody was riding two classes, as you said. It wasn't that difficult to transition. But these bikes, you know, this is where brake markers and things like that really change a lot, because the speed that the baggers are going and the places that they're braking and trying to brake, there's just not going to be as accurate as a bike that's a lot lighter. So the weight of these things, that's what makes bagger racing so interesting to me, is how fast they're going. I mean, the speeds that they're going is incredible. So you know, put it in perspective, our super sport category, I think this week qualified at, I believe it was a 26.3, and these guys are 27.5. You know, it was 1.2 seconds off of a top super sport bike compared to a bagger. So that's pretty wild when you look at it, and if you put the two bikes next to each other, you would definitely think one would be a significant amount slower, and it's just not the case.
And by the way, if you're looking at the history of Mission King of the Baggers, keep in mind it all started here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca all those years ago. And this was the exhibition race, and it was won by Tyler O'Hara. Jay, take a look at these laps. So the fastest lap was a 36.2 back in 2020. Then by 2021, we drop a couple of seconds, and Kyle Wyman goes 131.983. By the time we get to 22, you see it start to slow down a little bit in terms of the big chunks, but still a second and a half. Then we go 28.3 by 23, Corey West, 24, 128.1, and now a 127.524 by Kyle Wyman. That time would put you somewhere, definitely in the top 10 in the super sport class on a 620-pound motorcycle. So the difference, 8.6 seconds from the very first Mission King of the Baggers race we had here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, the first time it was ever in MotoAmerica competition, to now.
Yeah, 27.5 I think would have put you 9th or 10th in Supersport, to your point today. And The funny part is the advancement in the class and how it's gone. Yesterday morning in our first baggers practice, Hayden Gillen went out and broke the lap record. It was 28.1 coming in. He went 28.0 yesterday morning. So the advancement just keeps moving forward. So these guys aren't caring too much. They're just having a blast out there. These squirrels.
Now, Jay,
did you see Kayla almost hit a squirrel the other day?
Yeah, I saw that,
Kayla
Yako.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you watched our MotoAmerica Live Plus coverage. Yep. Now, let's talk really quickly about the top of the show. And we talked about the rivalry that's been brewing here between, the Factory Indian motorcycle team and the Factory Harley-Davidson team. And, a lot of this came to a head at Road America. Would you like to see some Race 1 highlights on what happened, to relive what happened a couple weeks ago at Road America?
It was fun. Yeah, we can have a look at them for sure.
All right, so let's take a look at Race 1 from Road America and those highlights. Talk us through it, JP.
Well, if you remember, Greg, it was the 3 Factory Harley-Davidsons that would go on and sweep the podium here. And to be honest with you, that's what was going to kind of cause some of the ruckus. Good battles, though. As you see Bradley Smith here going down the inside. Kyle Wyman was out front early. Troy going a little bit wide, I think, late in the race. At this point, Bradley was gone. He was up the road. Bradley Smith there in second. Rispoli ran wide there in turn number 5. Troy Herfoss was making his way through and trying to get more forward. But at the end of the day, it was Kyle Wyman barely beating Bradley Smith. And in the battle for third, Rispoli would get ahead of the Indians. There was some chatter in the podium, and as they call it, Greg, bulletin board material, I think is what it's called.
Board, yeah, for sure.
And these guys, they hyped up day one, and obviously it's Harley's backyard and things. And when we got to the second day, the Indian guys were fired up, and I think that shows the competitiveness of who they are and what they're about. Tyler O'Hara and Loris Baz, and of course Troy Herfoss are not just going to take any of that sitting down. And I really thought that what Troy did in this race was brilliant. I mean, he probably would self-admit that he wasn't the fastest on the day, but his racecraft was something that you'd have to behold and look at, because he always found a way to get himself back to the front, controlled the pace, kept people close. You see him going back and forth with Bradley Smith, and he became really, really difficult to pass. I never see Troy hardly ever put his leg out like that, ever. But it was like, again, he was doing some things to try to keep these guys behind. Bradley went up underneath him in the carousel. You can see he slots himself back into third. He'd go by Rispoli, and he'd chase down Bradley. Bradley would go into the last corner a little bit tight, and then this contact, which was just a bummer to see. And when I see that again, I just go, man, I'm so glad Bradley didn't end up in the middle of the racetrack. But Herfoss went on and won the race. And on a day when really it didn't look like Indian had a chance to win, this guy went ahead and did it. And it just goes to show you the grit and the champion that he is.
That's why he's 3-time Australian Superbike champ and your #1 plate holder. Troy Herfoss, that was quite the performance.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
Of course, MotoAmerica did an outstanding job of putting some good clips out on social media on Monday, and the fire was stoked. I had a chance to talk to Troy, too, yesterday, and I said, yo, it's been a couple weeks. Everything cooled down yet? He says, no, man. I'm ready to go racing. Let's get this thing on. And so, yeah, you got to get yourself to a MotoAmerica race this season and check out Mission King of the Baggers, because last season, we had a full 18 races on the docket. We don't have that exact schedule this year. So let's take a look at the rest of the season. So here we're at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for a pair of races. And then August 15th through the 17th, we're coming to Mid-Ohio, and we know there are a bazillion Harley-Davidson and Indian motorcycle fans that are going to be coming to that one. And then the last 2 of the season, Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, and then Mission King of the Baggers is going to wrap up their season in Millville, New Jersey. Jason, that one in New Jersey this year is wicked. We have our other triple header for our Superbike class as well, the same thing we have this weekend. So we expect a heap of championships to go down to New Jersey Motorsport Park at the end of the year. But you're looking at this schedule, it's the first time you've seen it, and you want to check out Mission King of the Baggers, make some plans now, because hotel rooms and flights and all kinds of stuff, it's going to be a really fun and exciting end to the 2025 Mission King of the Baggers season. Let's go down to Jamie Howe, who has Rocco Landers. I can't wait to hear this one.
Well, we saw that weird piece of video to start off this race, catching up with Rocco now. Take us through what happened out there on the starting grid.
Yeah, not my proudest moment. I was having some issues getting the thing into neutral, and finally it showed neutral on my dash, and then as I started to let the clutch out, popped into gear. So kind of a bit of a bummer there, but it didn't set me back too far, other than maybe rattled me a little, tripped me up, but who knows. New restart should be something fresh, and I'm excited.
You're able to get the bike picked up, able to get back out there and do the laps. How did it feel afterwards?
I had no issues, nothing apparent. I mean, you can never tell what's happening inside of the motor, but nothing apparent.
All right, going on to fight again, Greg.
Yeah, he's going to go on to fight again. And plus, Rocco knows right now that clip's going to be used the rest of the year, maybe on the next year or something like that.
Will.
But yeah, I mean, you know, there's got to be a little bit of embarrassment wrapped up in that rattling, but Rocco puts it behind him. Hey, look, that kid's climbing to the top of the mountain, and we're going to climb our way closer to the start of this Mission King of the Baggers race number 1 when we get back.
Welcome back to MotoAmerica Live Plus. Joanne here with Roger Hayden. Interesting talking to Rocco, hearing from Rocco Landers just there about not getting in that gear and being in neutral. We've had a few gear problems in King of the Baggers, haven't we? It was Atlanta, I believe. Carl Wyman wasn't in the right gear on the starting line. Nothing to do with the bikes, though, is it, Roger?
No, and for these things are just they're hard to shift, and sometimes things happen, and Rocco said he was rattled a little bit, so, you know, this kind of gives him the opportunity to reset. And I can't imagine having that incident and then getting up and trying to get back in and getting back focused. So for Rocco, this gives him another opportunity.
Get in the right gears, guys. Just kidding there. Well, Tyler O'Hara will be one person that has benefited from this long red flag that we're under as they clear away the oil and make the track perfectly safe again for this race 1 of King of the Baggers. Because Tyler O'Hara, we saw him getting transported back to the garage and hoping that obviously he can get his bike fixed up in time to rejoin the race. And he's local too, California, Tyler. So something that he will be hoping for is to get back on the start in front of his friends and family. Well, we'll be going to a commercial break now, and hopefully we'll be closer to that restart when we come back.
Get ready to eat like a king with Mission Foods. Load up those saddlebags for Mission King of the Baggers Racing and feed your need for flavor. Fully loaded tacos, fast wraps, piled high nachos. Whatever you crave, Mission will help you be race ready with easy to make recipes that will take your race day to the finish line. Keep your racing delicious and enjoy all the mouth-watering action. Brought to you by Mission Foods. Too fast, too tasty.
A new race season for me represents opportunity.
Kyle Wyman in our first race of 2025.
No matter what, it's not loser cool.
Thanks for good TV.
Wyman turns it left and wins the race.
They built me a fast Harley Davidson.
It just kind of surpassed all my expectations as far as handling and actually rideability. It's really impressive.
This bike handles in the mountains like no other bike I've ever ridden.
Sport bike, American touring bike. It's a great hybrid of the two.
It sits down in the road when you hit that throttle and you just take off for the sunset. It drops into that flow and you're gone.
Welcome back to MotoAmerica Live Plus. We are nearly there, ready for the restart of Mission King of the Baggers. Some of the riders will be benefiting from that long time out, especially those riders, Cam Peterson, Corey West, for example, who have been in other races already earlier today. There have been a few clutch issues as well, haven't there, Roger? How might that affect them?
Well, I think just the restart, just another start on the clutch.
All right, welcome back to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca under red flag conditions here in Monterey, California. And let's get right down to Jamie Howe.
You can hear bikes firing down on pit lane. Riders making their way towards the exit. Unfortunately, one rider that will not be back out there, Hayden Gillum, bringing out this red flag. We were just talking about any indication that you had about the issues on that motorcycle. Take us through it.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. It was whenever I stopped and whenever stuff was happening on the track, I figured out pretty quick it was oil. And yeah, they just figured out what it actually was, and it's something crazy. So it's just a bummer because these guys work their butts off all year long, and you know, we've been struggling, and this is the first time they've made some big strides at the shop, and this is the first time that we've been able to see it. And so, man, it's just a bummer not being able to get to go back out with these guys, and I felt really good all weekend, and you know, last year we had a win here, so it just sucks for these guys, for myself, and we've been kind of counted out of it the last 2 years, and I'm kind of sick and tired of it, and I know these guys are, so we were trying to show something, but we got tomorrow still.
He's had the pace all weekend long, and you hear it. He's hungry to get back out there at the sharp end, Greg.
No, without question. He's got the skill, got the talent, and he's definitely got the fire in his belly to get after it tomorrow. So, Jay, it looks like we've done the cleanup.
Tyler looks like is it good, or it looks like he's still having problems, isn't it? So Tyler O'Hara again has got the 20. I'm so bummed for this guy because this is another guy that needs a good weekend. I mean, he's got all the skills and rides really well, but again, it looks like he's kind of got going again, Greg. I don't know. Yeah, he's got his arm up like as if they're, yeah, you can see the bike cutting in and out.
Another Northern California guy too, Petaluma, California, so he's local, got a lot of family, friends here.
Yeah, there's a gate to his left right now that he'll probably get that thing off the track maybe and go through there. Let's see what he does, because yeah, it's frustrating for him for sure as he's kind of continuing around, but yeah, obviously it's some sort of electrical gremlin or something crazy going on with his Indian at the moment. And I'm not positive on this, but I think that's his best qualifying of the year. And he was right there today in the challenge race. He was right there, got into turn 2 a little bit too deep and ran wide and got into the gravel, got the thing going again as he was trying to chase down Kyle. So Jamie, what you got?
In talking to Tyler out on the grid before the race started previously, you know, he was so pumped up because he was able to ride through that challenge race and take it all the way down to the finish line. He had a lot of momentum, he felt like, coming off of qualifying. You mentioned it, his best qualifying position. But now, during this red flag, I talked to him down in pit lane, asked him what happened there. We saw the weird moments for him early on, and he said, honestly, we just don't know. We're going to put our head down and just see if we can keep going, just push as hard as they possibly can. So they're going to get another shot at it tomorrow, but certainly, as you said, disappointing.
Yeah, this is the sighting lap as well, so it's not, they'll be able to get that bike off and running. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get this race going. So hang tight. Mission King of the Baggers, race number 1.
What we do here at Arai Helmets is actually, in racing services, is a piece that we use for our research and development. There's not many places where we can actually use video to confirm how a rider crashes. We can't use video on a street to see how a cheat pad works. And when you do it in a laboratory, you don't get the same conditions you're going to get when you're out in the actual air and the wind and everything. You can try to use other devices, but you'll never replicate the real world scenarios. So that's where racing services really becomes very important. It's all about the research and development. You know, I talk to Mr. Arai every Thursday night, and we discuss everything that we've seen from the races. It doesn't matter if it's IndyCar or MotoAmerica. We discuss everything that went on and what all the riders' feedback was, because they want to know exactly what the riders are feeling. But you know, one of the biggest parts of research and development when it comes to the helmet, of course, is the helmet's #1 job, which is protection. So critically important to Arai is that round, smooth shell. Because what happens is the helmet comes down and it bounces and glances and burns off that impact energy instead of transferring it to the rider's head, which is really important to us. So the glancing is something that we've seen from all the videos and all the riders that we've seen, unfortunately, go down. But it helps us when we're out here to see that video and go, okay, well, the rider went down like this, he hit this portion of it, and this is what happened to the helmet. So we can put the entire story together. Because if you have just one part of the story, well, from the video you can't really tell where the helmet's been hit or how bad the helmet's been hit. So that's so important, and that's the one big thing that we found through all our years doing this. Rider protection is number one.
Welcome back to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca here in Monterey, California. We had red flag conditions for Mission King of the Baggers race number 1. And here's what's gone down so far to get this restart going, JP.
Yeah, basically Gillum had taken the lead. You can see it here. He just comes out of turn 5. And the smoke's there. Kyle sees it. Bass sees it. Everybody sees it. And the thing is, you know, Hayden's going to live to fight another day tomorrow, which he said. You know, they said it was something really silly. He said he couldn't really believe, you know, kind of what it was. But they'll get that bike back together. This poor guy here, though, Tyler, I just feel awful for him because best qualifying of the year, I believe, like I said. And he's just struggled. He did limp that bike back with the hopes that they could get it together. But, yeah, it's just we're losing all our top guys.
Yeah, but we do have Kyle Wyman and Hayden Gillum's not there. Tyler O'Hara.
Guys. You got the championship guys here still. Raspoli's throwing something at it as far as setup-wise, going back to what he knew. Herfoss came around on that lap, and I didn't exactly see what happened. He was taking his gloves off while the bike was still going and taking his helmet off, so not exactly sure what happened there.
So there's Tyler O'Hara. Jamie, what's going on with Herfoss?
Well, Troy Herfoss forgot his earplugs, Greg. That's what he was dealing with out on the grid, but the team cannot get those to him.
All right, so here we go. 8 laps scheduled for this race, and we're away. And Kyle Wyman alone on road number 1 sends it off into turn number 2. We'll see if some gaps are being closed, and you can see Loris Baz on the 76 gets another awesome start, and the number 1 of Herfoss slots into 3rd position. As some changes of position, Rocco Landers going up the inside of Corey West.
Oh, yeah,
Bradley Smith.
And Tyler's bike's working, so he is off now, Greg, down, going out of the pit out. But for Kyle Wyman, he didn't have anybody on the front row with him. He had, you know, no Hayden Gillum, obviously, and O'Hara was gone. But for Kyle Wyman, so we were talking just now, the warm-up lap, when you have a big oil spill like that, for me, I always kind of wanted to make sure that the oil dry was in spots that if I needed to be there. So in a way, you almost kind of go run it over a little bit to see where it's going to be good and where it's going to be bad type of thing. So you don't go through it at full gas or full lean, but just so you have a little knowledge. And that's where they are at now. As you can see, some of the guys, everybody's a little bit tight inside that stuff. Kyle runs down over the right curbing there as they come down. So all this little dry sweep that you see on the track, now they're going to be clear. Now they're going to feel like they can just race all the way till they get back to turn 5 again.
Down into turn number 10, the right-hander. That's going to lead us to the very slow number 11. Kyle Wyman on the binders, slowing down his factory Harley Davidson. And those S&S Indian Challengers right on his tail. And Rocco Landers behind the number 1 plate as Kyle goes 130.3 from a dead stop. Down into turn 2A, I call it turn A, 2B. It's turn 2, but it's a double apexer. Up onto the meat of the tire goes Kyle Wyman.
Herfoss got a little bit wide there. He's hoping that Baz can go do something with Kyle and try to stick it up underneath him in one of these next few corners, because Troy just ran a little bit wide in turn 2, lost a little bit of time. You see Rocco Landers is in 4th, like you said, Greg, and he's going to do everything he can to figure out a way to get by Herfoss. Bradley Smith there, and then you see Raspoli. So really impressed with Loris Baz. Like so far, he's been able to kind of pace Kyle a little bit.
Now, Jason, I know from your riding experience that you're a rider who's always ridden without earplugs.
Yeah, I have, yes.
Me, as a rider and an old racer, number 1, Troy Herfoss, I totally understand what he's going through right now. When you ride with earplugs, it helps to keep your focus. It also helps to reduce fatigue at times. But for Troy Herfoss, if he doesn't have earplugs in there right now, he's trying to figure out how to get used to it, because your shifting points sound different when you have earplugs in versus when you don't.
Yeah, and when you have them in and you're not used to them, you just lose all your sense of feel. I always did anyway. So for Troy right now, everything's going to seem a little bit louder, a little bit more raw. So for him right now, he's having to just get used to that. and then he'll resync everything up, and he'll be okay. But this race right now at the front, let's see what they do, Greg. 28.9, 29 flats, low 29s for the majority of the field. Kyle Wyman's got a good feel of the track now, and especially when you're the first one, and they always talk about the rain. You know, when you're leading, it's always a little bit harder because you're the first one to go through the big spots or any of that. It's kind of the same thing when you have a track that's just been freshly oiled and you're leading. You kind of don't really know how hard you should push. I've already seen Kyle use a couple of different lines when he's gone down from the corkscrew, and you can see now he's going to have a look over his shoulder, and he sees the 76 of Loris Baz right there.
As Kyle Wyman leads this one on his factory Harley Davidson, Jason, how as a riding coach do you do this? Do you put riding over the kitty litter on the racetrack out of your brain? Because a lot of times you just kind of look down at it, right?
Yeah, a lot of times you got to just, like I said, on your warm-up lap, you kind of go look at it a little bit, and if there are places where you think it's at that you're going to have to run through it, you just go through it real slow, especially on the warm-up lap. And you can see right there, like Kyle, his line there is completely different, and now he crosses over that twice as he comes down the hill. And when you look at that stuff, it's all just about adapting to it. And these guys, all these guys in the front, they've all been through this before and all had to deal with tracks that have been freshly oiled down. And I'm sure everybody, challenges themselves a little bit differently. Troy Herfoss now closing up onto the back of his teammate. Let's see if the lap times get any quicker here. 28.9 again, so 28.8 for Herfoss. Fastest lap of the race is going to go to our defending champion. See, that's what he does, Greg. He just kind of adapts. Maybe that isn't always the best. And like you said, we're just going to keep chipping away, and that's what he does. So Troy Herfoss, quickest lap of the race.
And that 28.8 that he did quickest lap of the race was on some severe wheel spin coming out of turn 11. He actually lost a bike length or two, went a little sideways trying to chase his teammate, Loris Baz. So 4.5 laps to go in race number 1. Mission King of the Baggers. As Kyle Wyman continues to lead, flying the flag for Harley Davidson out front right now. And oh, by the way, you can play MotoAmerica for cash. The Superbike Baggers and Supersport series are now live on top sportbooks and DFS platforms. Scan the flow code or visit nxtbets.com/PlayMA to see what's available in your location. Sign up, gain exclusive bonuses, and make your picks now.
How about this? On the back end of this group here is Bradley Smith. I talked to him this morning. Last time he was here, 2013, riding a MotoGP bike.
Oof.
And I said, and he goes, it's a little bit of a shock. You kind of remember as a rider what you went through on a MotoGP bike. There's Bradley Smith right there behind Rocco Landers right now on another factory Harley. So for the 38, last time we saw him, he was leading at MotoAmerica, and our highlights we showed during our downtime there. And him and Troy did come together. But man, what a difference. Comes to America, gets to ride MotoGP. And I don't think that if you'd have told him 12 years later, he'd be riding a bagger.
On our timing and scoring screens, I can see speed limit on pit lane violations from the number 1 and the number 29 of Tyler O'Hara. Jamie, you know anything about those?
I'm going to talk about Tyler O'Hara. We saw him come to pit lane and actually start the race from pit lane, having electrical issues on that siding lap. So for Tyler, the team had to get to work. He quickly wanted to get out to the racetrack, not lose any of the time once the race had started. And so he just took off and went. Well, now he has a speeding penalty in doing so. I heard that it might be a new record on pit lane as well. 155 per hour, 96 miles per hour down pit lane for Tyler O'Hara.
Yikes.
A record's a record.
Listen, I think it's 60K is the normal speed, which is what, 32 mile an hour, something like that. So, okay, Tyler O'Hara, the guy wants to get out there and race. That is for sure. That one's going to sting a little bit. And I believe that money that they pay for that fine goes to the Road Racing World Action Fund. That's the air fence. The same fund that was funded by Rainey's Ride to the Races that happened this weekend the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's great. So you can see Kyle now has pulled the pin here a little bit. 28.725 for the factory Harley rider that last time by. Fastest lap of the race. He opened it up to almost a second. So for Kyle, he's going to see 3 laps to go as we hear Cam Peterson has pulled off somewhere. But for Kyle Wyman, he's just begging to see that +1 on his board so he can keep his head down. This has been a great track for Kyle over the years. As you see, there is Cam Peterson. Looks like that's up probably somewhere in the corkscrew area. But Kyle Wyman, 28.8. He's 1.1 ahead now of the two factory Indians, factory Indian challengers of Baz and Herfoss. Look at Troy. Now he's looking for a way through on his teammate. Because let's keep in mind, I think you told me this, and you correct me if I'm wrong. Was it 3 points between Baz and Herfoss?
Correct.
So it's 3 points there, Greg. And, you know, for Troy, he wants to get by his teammate because it's only going to be 1 point difference between the two of them if he doesn't. But the guy they really got to get to is out in front of him right now. And both Baz and Herfoss are trying to do that. Rocco's not out of this yet either.
Now, Rocco, if he's in a position, he'll definitely take a shot. But keep in mind, something that's different from our normal super sport machines that you see on racetrack. These are wider motorcycles to get by, and you're going to need some room. Here's Rocco with a good drive up the top of the hill.
He got a great run out of 6. So that was a really good run from Rocco, and that might be a spot where he might think that Troy could be a bit vulnerable if he gets the same drive. So Rocco, the confidence that Rocco's showing right now tells me that he's kind of getting used to the racetrack being what it is and where it is, and now he's feeling like he can go after Troy here. So this would be a really good podium for Rocco if he was able to get past one of these Indian challengers in front of him, or maybe both, who knows. So we'll see. We've got 2 laps to go, Greg. Let's see if the lap times where they're at. 28.8 last time by. Kyle Wyman this time 29 flat, and the guy right behind him, Loris Baz, matches that lap time. It's about a 1 second lead for the 33.
And back there in 6th place, James Rispoli just set the fastest lap of his race a couple times in a row. But at this point, Rispoli 2.5 seconds behind his closest competitor, Bradley Smith. An interview that we did during the red flag. So Kyle Wyman has got this one. He's controlling the pace without question, even though they've backed it off only 0.3 of a second for the number 33. So Loris Baz, you saw the live points as well. And up the hill we go to turn number 6.
Let's see if Rocco keeps that same amount of speed through this turn here and it gets a run on Troy at all as they go out of turn 6. The 97's been pretty solid there. The problem, Greg, is where the dry sweep is on the right-hand side. These guys are all going underneath it now, so it's kind of closed that top of the corkscrew pass off. Herfoss looks like he's ramping up right now to do something with his teammate possibly.
Yeah, he had to look behind him and to see over his right shoulder, but Rocco was on the left shoulder, so something's brewing for the number 1 of Troy Herfoss. You saw the live points as it would finish right now. So, Jay, it would move Baz 1 point ahead of Herfoss in the championship and obviously further extend Kyle Wyman's lead in this championship. So with the white flag out, 1 to go here in Mission King of the Baggers. Race number 1 at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Down into turn 2, goes sideways Kyle Wyman to 33. Rocco Landers also trying to find some real estate to hold on to these 2 motorcycles. A little wide goes the number 1.
Yeah, Troy just looks like he's, I don't know if he has trouble braking. Maybe that could be a line choice, but he's definitely gotten to turn 2 a couple times and ran that number 1 a little bit wide. And if Rocco had been any closer, he may have taken a shot. So I think right now Rocco also knows, I mean, Rocco's a champion in his own right. He knows that these guys are racing for a championship. So the pass he's going to make will be calculated. And this is a spot where he's really good going out of turn 6 up the hill. But again, Greg, I just think it's too narrow on these baggers for Rocco to maybe do anything. You see, he runs right up on the back of Troy, gets a great run. Let's see. Maybe he proved me wrong here. He goes out to the left.
Oh, Landers trying to find some real estate, but Herfoss closes it down because Herfoss has a position or has a thought of his own. Can he get it slowed down? No, Rocco just gets around him. Yeah. That was so close.
Troy had to take a shot, didn't he? He had to take a shot, and unfortunately, it's going to cost him a little bit as Baz snuck back underneath him, and Rocco does the exact same thing. So the heartache for Hayden Gillum earlier for Vance and Hines Harley is at least going to get them a podium here possibly as Rocco gets through the last corner. And here comes Kyle Wyman, Greg.
The Harley Davidson by Dynojet Factory Racing rider Kyle Wyman takes victory here, race number 1. In second place is going to be Loris Baz on the S&S Indian motorcycle. And then that Revzilla Motul Vance and Hines Harley Davidson Road Glide of Rocco Landers will stand on the podium just 83/100ths of a second behind Loris Baz. Well played by Rocco Landers to get himself a podium. And here comes your new pit lane speed limit record holder, Tyler O'Hara.
He's gonna love that. He's gonna love that, right?
Yeah, he's gonna have words with me tomorrow, for sure. Well, Rocco Landers, Jason, he needs this. He's had a rough season so far across the board. Another rider who races in 2 classes. Hasn't been the perfect season for Rocco Landers, but that's gonna go a long way. And obviously, Hayden Gillum had mentioned that the Revzilla Motul Vansanine Harley-Davidson team been back in the shop working hard, and they found something. And whatever they found also worked on Rocco Lander's machine. And I'll tell you what, Hayden Gillum wasn't here, but he watched it, and that's going to fire him up for tomorrow. But fired up is the 33 of Kyle Wyman, who makes his way to victory lane. Well, we'll talk to him after this.
Welcome back to MotoAmerica Live Plus, as we have had our last race of Saturday with the Mission King of the Baggers, and what a race that was. In the end, the wait was well worth it. Kyle Wyman there waving to the crowd as he takes yet another win and extends his points lead at the top of the King of the Baggers standings. And he took that race with controlled pacing, went to the front. Obviously no Hayden Gillum to push him this time, but it was a really mature set of riding.
Yeah, it was just one of Kyle's races there, getting a good start, and he has showed this pace all weekend through practice and through qualifying. And when he gets a good start and Kyle's able to get out and get in his rhythm early, this is usually what happens. He just pulls away a couple tenths and then gets a nice little lead. And even his last lap was a 29 flat, so he pulls out to a 2-second lead. And Kyle was able to capitalize on the weekend he's had so far.
Indeed. Well, we have got an incredible day ahead on Sunday, our final day of racing here at Laguna Seca. It goes by so fast, doesn't it? So make sure you come out tomorrow to join us here in Monterey, starting at 9:20 in the morning Pacific time. That's 12:20 Eastern. We have the warm-up for Motivation Super Sport, followed by the Superbike warm-up 9:45 Pacific, and then King of the Baggers, and then we are into our race schedule. Superbike, of course, have 3 races over the weekend. So race number 2, you don't want to miss that one, especially after the events. The exciting race we saw in race 1, that will be our first race of the day tomorrow. And then we will go all the way through with a 3rd race of Superbikes. And of course, we have 5 classes that we will be looking forward to tomorrow. We'll see you back here at Laguna Seca, and don't go anywhere.
Mission King of the Baggers coverage is brought to you by Mission Foods, the world's leading brand for tortillas and wraps. Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. Drag Specialties, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket parts and accessories for Harley-Davidson, Indian, and custom V-twin motorcycles. And by NXT Bets. Play MotoAmerica for cash. Multiple race classes live on top sports books and DFS platforms all season long.
Kyle Wyman's victory just over 2 seconds over Loris Baz. Rocco Landers able to take advantage of Troy Herfoss attacking his teammate. It didn't quite pay off for him. Bradley Smith in 5th, Rispoli, Corey West, Tyler O'Hara, and Max Flinders in 9th place. So a good race for Kyle Wyman, and another big W after a lengthened red flag. It's all done and dusted, and our winner is with Jamie.
Winner for the 5th time this season, continuing to control this points battle here in Mission King of the Baggers, but you also controlled the pace of that race, Kyle. Despite that, even at the end, we saw you still sliding around out there. How hard were you pushing?
Definitely had a little bit of fun on the last lap, but that felt like a rain race. I was like so focused on trying not to put my wheels in the wrong spot. There was a couple areas that you could easily get caught out, so was just hoping I had the pace to hold them off. You know, trying to dodge that oil dry, and yeah, it paid off. So we're having a pretty good year. Really happy. Yeah. Thanks to the Harley-Davidson team, you know, Rockford Fosgate, Mission Foods, DynoJet, Brembo, Propovich, all the sponsors that help us. And I especially want to thank my wife, Hannah. I miss you, baby. I wish you were here. Sorry, Jamie. I wish Hannah was holding the microphone. But I'll see you when we get home. Let's get another win tomorrow.
Certainly no offense taken. Congratulations on the 5th win of the season for Kyle Wyman. We're going to move over to 2nd place of Loris Baz. It's his 4th podium result of the finish, but take us through that battle at the end with your teammate.
Yeah, I mean, it was a strange day, you know, like this morning I had a fall in Q2, and my guys did an amazing job to rebuild the bike in 10 minutes for the challenge. And then, yeah, I felt good all the weekend, but we missed a lot of time in the FP1, so we were a bit running behind. But yeah, I was feeling really good on the Indian, and SNS did a good job setting up the bike all the weekend. But yeah, we were a little bit slower than Kyle, and he was doing a good race. I was trying hard, but there were some places where I was really a lack of grip, and he managed to go away. So yeah, I knew Troy was behind, and going into the corkscrew there was a lot of oil, and it was hard to really go deep there. And he still tried, so hats off for him. He told me before the race, I'm too old, I'm 38, I need to retire soon, but he still pulled out some great move for 38 years old, so it give me a bit of margin. So yeah, thank you to all the team, all the Indian crew, SNS, and it was a great show. I hope everyone enjoyed. I always love being in Laguna Seca. It's such an amazing place, so I had a great time coming here with my road trip, and now I'm enjoying racing it a lot.
Congratulations to Lorenz Baz on a second place finish. Going to third place. Podium finish, the first one of the season for Rocco Landers, cleaning up the mistakes from the first time around. But for Rocco, able to bring a podium result home. Take us through that last couple of turns.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, God, I haven't been here for probably longer than I've ever been in my life. It feels good to be back. I can't give it up enough to my team. I mean, the whole Revzilla Motul Vance and Heinz Motorsports team, Rodney back at the shop, my crew chief Steve, my mechanic Matt, Terry, everyone. It's such a nice feeling to be back up here. It's especially after a doozy like I had on lap 1, or the warm-up lap. But I mean, unfortunately, a bit of the track was covered in oil dry, hit some of the location some of the overtake spots, which was a bummer, and I was kind of stuck there. But I mean, I'm stoked. Troy made that pass, and it ended up how it was.
Could this be the turning point for Rocco Landers? Podium result either way. Greg.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is Rocco put himself in a position just in case that situation happened, and it did. So here's what I'm interested in, the championship standings. So Lorenz Baz now ahead of his teammate. It's 64, though, adrift of Kyle Wyman in the championship. So Troy now 4 points behind his teammate, and Rocco Landers up to 8th with 57. Well, that'll do it for Mission King of the Baggers race number 1. We get to do it again from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Make sure you tune in and check it out. It's going to be an awesome race.
That was a